Hello, folks. This is a sad one. A sad video that I'm going to have to put up, but it needs to be said. So, I'm going to read this article. I've already seen the podcast. You can listen to it to yourself, and but take my word for it. This dude really comes across as the piece of shit that he is. So, YouTuber JonTron reveals anti-immigrant views, loses subscribers. Stick to games, maybe. This is from Owen S. Good. Now, I know some people say the media is trying to destroy him. No, the media did its job on this one. They went and they covered what someone did, and they said the public needs to know. They disseminated it. And now I'm going to do my part as an amateur vlogger uh, to basically share this because, you know, you need to know. I have a few friends that are subscribed to this cocksucker. So anyway, another YouTube personality's in hot water, this time over comments that echo long-running, widely discredited far-right talking points about immigration, ethnicity, and nationalism. John Jafari, 26, pictured above, otherwise known as JonTron, tangled with Twitter followers on Sunday and then dug in deeper in a live-stream debate about nationalism, ethnicity, and immigration. His comments revealed wide-ranging right-wing sympathies that appear to have blindsided many of his viewers, some of whom have withdrawn their YouTube subscriptions. Jafari is the founder of Normal Boots, which is a series of YouTube channels that includes Did You Know Gaming, which is featured repeatedly on Polygon. Other channels include Peanut Butter Gamer Continue, Pro Jared, The Completionist, and Satch Bag. Normal Boots is a member of the Polaris multi-channel network on YouTube and has 8.7 million subs combined. JonTron's channel is down about 10,000 subscribers since the controversy broke. It all began on Sunday when Jafari tweeted a defense of U.S. Representative Steve King, Republican from Iowa. King supported the Dutch far-right politician Geert Wilders supporting the Dutch far-right politician Geert Wilders said, "We can't restore a civilization with somebody else's babies," basically endorsing the idea of nations as singular ethnic states. Bullshit. Jafari, apparently unsolicited for his opinion, said the following: "Wow, scandalous. Steve King doesn't want his country invaded by people who have contempt for his culture and people. Nazi." Okay, so that was the first strike. He dug in yesterday with Twitch streamer Steve Bonnell II, also called Destiny, in a 2-hour argument in which Jafari referenced long-held far-right-wing talking points such as the Mexican Reconquista, the Mexican retaking by mass immigration of American land or culture, and the claim that even wealthy blacks in the United States commit more crimes than poor whites. That was strike two. Strike three is that he spent an hour and 16 minutes on this 2-hour podcast saying shit that you could literally look it up and see that about 2/3 of the shit he was saying was factually incorrect, and the third of the shit that he was saying that had some basis in fact, you had to understand the nuance behind the numbers, and the nuance behind the numbers didn't bear. How many of this would be relevant to Jafari's normal subjects, which have amassed him 3.1 million viewers on his own channel, is unclear. His defenders have complained that the reporting of Jafari's unsolicited Twitter comments and the remarks from his entirely willing 2-hour appearance on Bonnell's livestream amount to thought policing, character assassination, censorship, or all three. I'll talk about that at the end of this video. In the debate with Bonnell, Jafari suggests that the economic influence or benefit of immigration is something liberal academicians overstate, or that it goes unchallenged by the people who don't want to fight with the politically correct. Here is that the United States should refuse immigrants from incompatible places. Interestingly, Jafari's heritage of Hungary and Iran. Iran is one of the 7 nations named in the executive order issued by Donald Trump restricting immigration, and a revised one following a successful challenge to the first. Jafari's argumentation and the fallout from it echoes another pop culture vlogger who veered off topic into deeply political territory and was met with a large backlash. Felix Kjellberg, 27, also known as PewDiePie. published several videos over the winter that referenced fascist and even anti-Semitic themes, retroactively claiming they were jokes intended to shock. It cost Kjellberg his affiliation with Maker, the YouTube multi-channel network owned by Disney, and his contract with YouTube Red, which makes original programming for the site's premium content subscribers was likewise canceled. Polygon reached out to Jafari via email to ask for his response to the backlash to his comments, whether his business has suffered in the aftermath, and why King's position was worth such a heavy investment through both Twitter and Twitch appearance. A message was not returned as a publication time. So there's something he said in here that his defenders would say. Thought policing, character assassination, or censorship. Okay, thought policing is like Fahrenheit 187, 1980 type stuff, where you're basically you're preventing people from even having knowledge about things. So you're burning books and you're whitewashing history, which is what they do now, but in the opposite direction. Like you can read textbooks where they'll say that the Civil War is the war of Northern aggression, or it was about states' rights. The Civil War was about was twofold, okay? Which, I mean, once again, is part of the truth, but not the entire truth. The reason the Civil War happened was because due to the Great Compromise that was done years earlier, basically the Great Compromise was that a black slave would be considered 3/5 of a white man. So basically, slaveholders would use their slaves as votes, and that's how the South would push through all of this various legislation that was beneficial to them to the detriment of everything else. And once again, kind of like we see now, the vast majority of industrialization and the wealth was in the North. The wealth in the South was built on slaves, okay? The wealth in the North was not built on slaves. It was built on industrialization and new ideas and invention. Not all the time, but I mean, like generally speaking, that's where the wealth was, the industrial bases, the people that made new shit, whereas slavery was an old system. Now, basically, Lincoln and was basically trying to say, well, like you can't be using your slaves in order to ram through legislation, because in that way you're kind of saying that they're people, because we only give, like he was going to do something about it. He never got a chance to do something about it because the South started fighting, took Fort Sumter, and that was the beginning of the Civil War. And what we got from that is, well, this long ass war. The second part that's important to realize is that the reason Lincoln freed the slaves in the South, any slaves that were above the Mason-Dixon line. So if you were a slave in Maryland, your ass wasn't free. But the reason he freed the slaves below the Mason-Dixon line is because basically it was twofold. The English were going to, well, it was believed that the English were going to side with the South and starting shit in order to help them win the war if he hadn't gotten rid of the slaves, which is bullshit. That wasn't going to happen. But also, their economic base was built on slavery. The economic base of the South had been built on slavery because it was built on agriculture, commercial agriculture, so cotton, rice, sugar, which they would then export for money, or they would take that and convert it into other goods and use it for money. So who was doing that work? Lazy ass white slave owners? No, my ancestors. So basically, when they got free, a lot of them escaped, went north. There was a slave town in Washington, D.C., where escaped slaves would go to Washington, D.C. They knew they couldn't go into Maryland because not free in Maryland, but D.C., free soil. So but what does this have to do with thought policing? Well, I mean, there are certain schools in the South that love to downplay or ignore this brutal part of our history, the reason why it happened, what happened, all that type of shit. And don't well, these people were honorable. No, I mean, if your ancestors fought in the Confederacy, they committed treason. And really, I mean, I think a lot of the things that happened in America could have been nipped in the bud, if the penalty for committing treason had been given to all those surviving bastards, which we all know what happens to people who commit treason in America. Character assassination. Uh, the dude, no one forced him to tweet anything. No one was like, tweet this shit, you racist piece of shit. I mean, this isn't character assassination. This is called character suicide because he did it to himself. And censorship. Censorship would be if people were blocking it. But even then, that's not really censorship. That just means people have the choice of blocking you. That's, censorship is, like I said, once again, is like burning books, rewriting history. That's censorship. How China refuses to refer to the Tiananmen Square massacre is censorship. How Japan refuses to talk about how they treat um, the southern Japanese. Like, there's these people in the deep, deep south of Japan, like native Japanese, that got treated. Basically, they got treated like the black folks here in America, in Japan, and they don't talk about it. That's censorship. That's thought policing. You're not even allowed to mention it in Japan, right? Like I did a semester abroad in Japan where I took sociology and political history and history, and I literally um I fucking literally um got nothing out of it. Like they don't even like it. Like, I got one of the more progressive textbooks at the time, and they casually mentioned it. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was like a casual aside. Like, yeah, they weren't always treated the best. But like, if you actually like talk to people in the know, those people were treated horrifically. And to this day, they're still kind of treated badly, which is fucked up. But um, yeah. So basically, I just wanted to show you that. So I'm going to give you my reaction to this. There's only one reaction that can exist, and that is, as you can see, I used to be subscribed to JonTron. Not anymore. Enough said. I invite you to join me. Those of you who watch this channel, those of you who aren't racist pieces of shit, just, you know, just like a Caucasian. Just like a Caucasian. So, peace.